Good day to all our listeners around the world and welcome to another episode of the Unveil the Future podcast Season 3. I'm your host Đức Vượng, Senior Marketing and Communication Specialist at the VinFuture Foundation, and it's my pleasure to accompany you on this journey to meet the visionaries transforming our world. The future of science is written not only in the laboratories but also in the dreams of those who dare to reimagine what is possible. It is shaped by the innovators who turn challenges into opportunities and discoveries into hope. Today we are honored to meet one such visionary. Dr. Linh Nguyen is a globally recognized scientist from Vietnam who has made outstanding advancements in regenerative medicine and medical biomaterials. She has published a wide range of papers in leading international journals spanning biomaterials, nanotechnology, and advanced tissue engineering. Dr. Ling has also collaborated widely with the global research teams spanning Europe, Asia, and the UK to tackle some of the most pressing healthcare challenges. Beyond academia, she has been honored with multiple distinctions, including the TechWomen100 Award in the UK for her impact on biomedical technology. Dr. Ling is also the founder of SmileScaff, a pioneering initiative that translates cutting-edge lab discoveries into real-world medical applications. With her dedication, she continues to inspire young scientists, particularly women in STEM, to pursue breakthrough innovations. Today, she joins us to share her vision and aspiration toward biomaterials and regenerative medicine. Dr. Ling, thank you so much for joining us today. You recently participated as a featured guest in the VinFuture Innova Talk webinar discussing the latest advancement and innovation in the regenerative medicine. Prior to that engagement, were you familiar with the VinFuture Prize?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me today. And I am very honored to joining the interview today. And yes, I was familiar with the VinFuture Prize earlier to my participant in the Innovate Talk webinar through media and on the Vin website. And I have followed its growing reputation over the past few years.
That's such an honor for us to hear. As a Vietnamese scientist deeply connected to the global scientific community, how does it feel to see the VinFuture Prize, born in Vietnam, shining internationally?
So yeah, I have been truly impressed by how quickly they established the prize at the globally recognized award, and it's attracting nominations and attention from some of the world's most respected scientist community. And what makes the VinFuture Prize particularly meaningful to me is strong emphasis on science and technology that make positive in the real world impact, especially in the communities with limited access to healthcare and innovations. And the fact that globally initiative originate from Vietnam, I feel a deep sense of connection for Vietnam, and it actually reflects the country growing commitment to innovation, to scientific advancement and global collaboration. So for me, as a Vietnamese scientist, the prize is very inspiring and validating. That reminder is kind of a reminder that we are part of a growing ecosystem where the research, the innovation research, the cutting edge research in the impactful innovation have been recognized on the world stage. And it's very, I think it's very encouraged us to think beyond the academic boundaries and to consider to do something to impact to the society. Sometimes also it makes me feel like I'm not just a scientist working in the lab, I can do something else. So the prize actually can inspire people to apply and to do some work like that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ling, for your precious assessment. The VinFuture Prize not only honors big breakthroughs, but also shines a light on underrepresented scientists, including women and pioneers from developing countries. How do you see the importance of this inclusivity in science?
Yeah, what I really appreciate about the VinFuture is that it doesn't just focus on very big breakthrough from well-known institution. It actually put a spotlight on scientists from diverse background, including women and those working in the places they are often underrepresented in science. So that kind of visibility is very powerful, and it shows that excellence in science isn't limited by geography or resources. It can come from anywhere. So as a woman scientist from Vietnam, I find that is incredibly motivating, and is actually encouraging to see a platform that actively promotes the inclusion and recognize a wide range of voices. And I think that sends a really positive message, especially to younger scientists who might not always see themselves represented at that level. And it also is also a track for over the world, and to see that we are equality and diversity for different background, and we are not like just focus on something is very big. We also see something like people trying, but it have meaningful.
You raise a very important point about gender disparity in science, especially in biomedical field. Yet you yourself are clearly a pioneering leader in your discipline. What's remarkable is that your scientific journey has taken you from Vietnam all the way to the UK, showing both resilience and determination. From the very beginning, what first sparked your passion for science? And what moment did you realize this was the path you wanted to follow? And more specifically, what drew you to biomaterials and the highly challenging area of tissue engineering?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking about my journey. So actually, I'm a chemist, and I got training in chemistry in Vietnamese National University in Ho Chi Minh City. And but actually, my journey into biomedical field actually started during my PhD in South Korea. And I like as a chemist, but I have always been curious about how science connect in the real challenging. So I also interested in biology and engineering and the clinical application. So that curiosity naturally led me toward the regenerative medicine, which is such a multidisciplinary field. So when I work in the regenerative medicine, I can work with in chemistry, in biology, engineering. It's very multidisciplinary field. But what really sparked my passion was the idea that I could design material is not just for lab use, but actually it help the body, the people for health, for healing themselves. So biomaterial and tissue engineering, that they offer the perfect intersection. I can have the chemistry I love. I can combine with the biological system and engineering for scale up and manufacturing, and a clear path to improve the patient care. So even though I didn't start in biomedical engineering, but the field is brought together all the things that I was interested in, and that gave me a purpose that is very deeply meaningful, and is keep me inspiring through my career.
I think it's truly inspiring because you've been talking about bridging the gap between academic research and industry, something you have personally achieved through your entrepreneurial work with SmileScaff. Before we move on to other topics, I'd love to focus a bit on this project. SmileScaff develops scaffold technology for dental issue healing, which is very exciting. Could you walk us through how this application actually works in practice? And the early stages, what unique challenges did you face with this technique, and how did your scaffold manage to overcome them?
Yes. So about SmileScaff, it's very early stage of company, less than 1 year of establishing. But in order to go to this step, actually, I have been prepared for several years. I always want to have something that really on my own to develop. So at SmileScaff, we developing the bone grafting material that is specific for alveolar bone regeneration. So which is a very critical step before the dental implant. So one of the big challenging is in this area is that after the tooth loss, the bone can shrink very quickly, and it's make very difficult and challenging for the dental implant. So this often have longer treatment, and longer treatment time is very uncomfortable for the patients. So sometimes I'm thinking like people solve problem about something really big. I'm solving problem about if something is a small thing in the tooth, but actually just think about when the patient they have the tooth decay or something gum disease. It's really uncomfortable. They cannot eat and they cannot talk, and they also mental problems. So it's really a big problem. So our aim is to speed up the healing. The bone formation, it can speed up the healing, so can make the patient feel more comfortable. They will not suffering for a long time, and also they can return to see the dentist earlier for the implant or for the treatment. That also can bring the real value for both sides. Is the patient is comfortable, and also the convenient for the dentist. The dentist will see their patient come back earlier, so it can more efficiency treatment timeline. So the technology actually we using now is under the IP protection. So I can't say too much about the technology, not yet, but I can say that we have designed the material that both are very bioactive and support of very quick bone formation, and is non-toxic, is safe to use, and is sustainability material. And also the material is we can make the scale up, because when we working in the lab, and if you want to see the material on the market, we have to use some technique that can scale up, can manufacturing, and that we can make the large amount of the material for clinical practicing. And in long term, I see that this is a platform that could, it's beyond the dentistry. The material is potentially in the other area of the bone and tissue regeneration. So it can apply for area. It's not just only in dentistry. And about the Smar, the effective solution that bridge the gap between the lab and the real world, like I mentioned before. So the treatment time is the key point of my biomaterial for SmileScaff.
So I can see that in the long term, your research shows great potential because the material is not only flexible and sustainable, but also highly scalable. It suggests applications that extend well beyond dentistry. Aside from these areas, are there any other long-term implications of your work that you believe could truly revolutionize tissue engineering? For example, could it have lowered the cost of treatments and make advanced biomedical solutions more accessible to a wider population?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I received this question from so many people when I do the pitching for my SmileScaff. So when we talk about the product, we have to think about the cost. But actually, in the UK and especially I think in the US, the cost of the material is not that much compared to the cost of the service and pay to the dentist. So when we talk about for the in dentistry for the treatment, if the government can help to lower the cost of the service and the dentist to pay for the dentist, actually it have the impact on the lower cost. But for the material, we say like, okay, it is cost effective, but then it's just something is very small in very big budget you have to pay. So that's why, but it doesn't mean that my material have very expensive material. And actually, we did some market research, and I have students working with me, and our our material scarf for. So it's my scarf. A scarf is from the scarf for. Is actually lower cost, and the lower cost in our case is somehow it can help the patient who use the insurance, for example. Especially in the US, and if they can apply, they show like the material is cheaper than another material, somehow they can get approved easily from the insurance company. But like I say, in dentistry, the cost of the material we use actually is something is very small. We have to think about like the whole thing of the service, the pay for the dentist.
So overall, your work shows how smart material designs and scalability can really simplify processes and open new possibilities for stem cell harvesting. Beyond the science itself, though, you also carry many different roles as an academic, a lecturer, an entrepreneur, and of course, as a woman who must often juggle multiple responsibilities at once. On top of that, you are building your career not only in your home country, but in the UK, a completely different environment. What have been some of the key challenges and opportunities you encountered as a woman scientist and entrepreneur navigating this international scientific landscape?
Yes, I think it's a really touching questions. As a woman scientist from a developing country, and they have both is challenge and also opportunity actually along the way. Yeah, I don't know what to start. So one of the biggest challenge is that working in science as a woman is not easy, and I think it's all the women in science we can understand about that, especially when you also trying to balance family life and research. And I just remember like there are days then when I'm juggling lab work, writing grant proposal, meetings, and then coming home, cooking, cleaning, and take care of the family responsibility. And that part can be quite overwhelmed. And at that time, it's really, it was a challenging time. But I feel very lucky because actually I have had a strong support from my family. And actually, I'm not afraid to ask for help when I need it. Of course, we need help, but then we need to ask. Then people will know and they can support. So that make a huge difference. But still, it's a constant balancing happening. So it's something many women, I think, in science quietly manage every day, I think. And living abroad is another layer. So being far from my parents, from my sibling, relative, friends, and they are back in Vietnam, it means I have to build a support system from scratch. I can feel like sometimes feel like very isolating at the time, but sometimes also I feel like it needs to push me more to become more independent and resilient. So it's something is we need to work out for ourselves. So when I first moved to the UK, one of the early challenging was simply the visibility. It's not always seen people who look like me or share my background in global scientific space. I couldn't find any Vietnamese woman like around. First, I moved is from University of Oxford, and then I moved to UCL. And sometimes I feel like I have to work twice as hard to be here, to be heard, and or taking it seriously. And also it can also like sometimes also people can be assumption about your capability, your resources, or the relevance of your work. And so that's why I need to be like constantly push myself. And but I think on the positive side, coming from Vietnam, I bring a different perspective. to the table. So one that that value is the resourcefulness, the resilience, and over the time, I have seen that those qualities actually powerful, and especially in the field like regenerative medicine. And also it's kind of global diversity is right better for innovation.
Absolutely. I believe one of the greatest strengths of Vietnamese people lies in their resilience and hard work, qualities that are recognized wherever they go. Vietnamese scientists who step onto the global stage often carry these values with them, making their voice heard and earning respect worldwide. You are a shining example of this, having brought your expertise to the UK and being named among the TechWomen100, a remarkable and well-deserved recognition. As a Vietnamese woman scientist, what does this honor mean to you personally, and how do you see it shaping your journey ahead?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I mean, TechWomen100 Award is also one of the thing I'm very proud of actually, because it's very it's honestly it's an honor as a Vietnamese woman scientist. Um, the recognition is not it's just not of my work, but also it's the whole journey. It's not something is your work. You need to show the whole journey. And coming from developing country is building a career in the new environment, and also try to overcome so many challenges in this field. It remind me like how far I have come, but also how much further there is to go. So there are still very long step to go. It's not just for me, for all amazing women scientists out there, and who are still underrepresented or overlooked. And I was actually the first Vietnamese woman to receive the TechWomen100 Award. Then it makes more specific, more meaningful to me, because I believe that if there is the first, there will be the second, the third, and many more after that. So it's about like opening a door for and showing that Vietnamese women scientists can be visible, can be recognized and celebrated on an international stage. So part of the TechWomen100 community have incredibly empowering. And actually I feel very number one is about the award, and the secondly because when I joined the community, and I'm so glad like to be surrounded by such a positive atmosphere of the woman. We want to live up all together. We support and we celebrate the successful from each other. So it's really feel very empowering. So one of my personal goals is to I want to create more pathway for Vietnamese women in STEM, if possible, through mentorship or sharing my journey to them. And somehow I think it can help them to build the confidence in their voice and vision. And also like I told to my student, they are women, and also some junior women, that you can't be what you can't see. So you need to see out there. So I want to show them like your possibility, your capability. So I hope that my journey that can help other women see the possibility.
That is truly inspiring, building connections, fostering collaborations, and being a visible example, a woman whose voice is heard and whose journey inspires others are all powerful ways to create changes. With that in mind, what advice would you like to share with young women from underrepresented backgrounds, not only in Vietnam, but across Global South and other developing regions who aspire to pursue career in STEAM?
I think I heard sometimes like some people advise it just work for them, but I hope my advice is work for everyone. And for young women, especially those from the underrepresented background, my first piece of advice is believe that you belong in STEM, and even if you don't always see people who look like you or share your story in science and engineering, your voice, your perspective, and your idea absolutely matter. And when I started out, I was a chemist in Vietnam and just fascinated in science. I didn't imagine like one day I become a biomedical engineering, working at University of Oxford and then UCL, and they are top 10 university in the world. I can't imagine that. Or start a spin-out company like SmileScaff. But one thing, it led to another. And every step I took, even though I feel like it's uncertain once, but it helped me to shape the path that I'm on today. So that's why just try on and think that you are possible, you can do it. And the other thing is I would like to say is don't be afraid to ask for help. None of us here is alone. And I understand that women in Asian area, they feel like they're bothering people when they ask something, or they feel shy, so they didn't ask. And they don't ask, they don't have. So don't be afraid. Ask for help. You need help, you need to ask. Better than you don't ask for help, then you do all the things on your own and you feel overwhelmed and you feel like stressed. So I learned so much from, actually I learned from my colleague, and even though from my own family. So reach out, ask questions, and also look for people who support you, and find your mentor. You can ask me as your mentor if you need one. I'm happy to do that. And once you find them, don't let them go away. Hold on those relationship, because the people who want to support you, they will continuously support you. So don't let them go. And it will be challenging. And also, like, I have to balance research, family life, entrepreneurship, everything on at once. But I've learned that your background is not a barrier, it's a strength. And come from different culture or having a non-traditional journey is actually give you a unique perspective that STEM really need. So I think it's keep going, don't give up, and don't be afraid to have a dream big. And maybe, who knows, maybe one day you will be the role model that someone else is looking for.
Thank you, Dr. Ling. This has been such an insightful conversation. And before we wrap up, I'd like to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about creating pathways for young Vietnamese women in STEM. Have you ever envisioned potential collaboration with the VinFuture Prize and its global network, not only in biomaterials, but also across other scientific fields, to help connect and foster stronger ties between the Vietnamese scientific community and the wider world?
Yes, actually, I'm really keen to have collaboration with in Vietnam University, and actually, I'm done with a group at Vietnam National University in Ho Chi Minh City. I'm very keen to supervise like master student, PhD student, and PhD student. So I'm thinking if we can have a chance for like co-supervisor for student together, because like I also see a lot of, for me, in the UK, I can introduce the modern technique from the UK, and also I can share the entrepreneur mindset that I have gained through founding SmileScaff, actually as a scientist, but I have to learn a lot of training program to learn about the business model, and especially in the UK, there's so many programs that they can support. So that's why I learned something I can bring the platform at UCL. UCL have support in the startup spin-out company is very strongly for student, for academic, so that I can bring together to Vin or to any university in Vietnam, that we can actually Last year in December 2024, there is a Vietnamese leader, about 20 leaders from Vietnam, and they came to UK to learn about the research impact, the support, how university in the UK support the entrepreneurship. And I had the privilege to organizing a workshop at UCL on behalf of the Vietnamese Intellectual Society, and it was very successful. And the Vietnamese group is they show like they learned a lot of things from UCL. So that thing we can, for example, I can bring the Vietnamese group go to the UK, come to the UK for learning. Also, we can bring the expert from UCL or from the UK back to Vietnam and to give some training. So that I can see I can have the connection at UCL. And the first is about the co-supervisor student, because actually I like to see my students success, or so it's not just international student. I want to see the Vietnamese student as well, but I don't have chance to supervise now. My supervisor here is the international student. So I would like to bring something for the Vietnamese student in Vietnam. And the secondly is about the entrepreneurship collaboration with UCL, that we can make a program on together. And also on top of that, I'm thinking like if we can have some joint international funding, for example, like through Horizon EU is for Vietnam, form a group in Vietnam and a group in EU, and also British Council. We have a lot of funding that can have the collaboration. And of course, there are so many funding schemes in Vietnam that if they need an expert who are Vietnamese but working abroad like me, then I'm happy to join in that kind of collaboration. Then it can really accelerate the innovation, and I think it can bring the value for both Vietnam and wider scientific community.
This has been such a rich and inspiring conversation, and I feel very fortunate to learn from both your expertise and your journey. Drawing on your many years of experience as a scientist and innovator, what recommendation would you give to VinFuture Prize as it continues its mission of recognizing and honoring groundbreaking scientific achievements worldwide?
Yeah, I think the sustainability, the net zero is now everybody doing this, or especially in Vietnam. So we have to really consider about like how to build a sustainable material, sustainable lab, and sustainable environment of working. So I think I would like to see if there's a prize that can recognize the breakthrough or the group that they are trying to do research in the sustainability in Vietnam, or because in the UK or so many countries they have they starting doing this. So I think in Vietnam also we have to show that we follow and we can catching with the world. So we need to really spark on this field and let the scientists understand actually the plastics waste from the lab is so high. So we have to consider like how to build the sustainability environment. So we can say like, for example, we have the prize for sustainability lab or research. So that will inspire have the motivation for some PI or some group in Vietnam. They will start think about that. And then because I think Vietnam target a net zero to 2050. So from now, we have to start from now. And I think Vin can be the first to encourage people to do this. And just that is what I'm thinking. But of course, it depends on the flexibility or the possibility. And also sometimes it's quite difficult to do in Vietnam as well. But I can see like in Vietnam, we have like seafood waste that we can turn that into something biomaterial in regenerative medicine. So that kind of research is we have to encourage them to continue to do that.
Thank you again for sharing such valuable insights with us today. Your journey is certainly a powerful example of resilience and vision, and I truly believe the younger generation learns best from those who have paved the way, and your story shows them that science has no boundaries of geography and resources. It has been an honor to have this conversation with you. And to our dear listeners, this concludes today's episode of the Unveil the Future Season 3 podcast. We hope you found today's discussion both engaging and enlightening. If you enjoyed the episode, please support us by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your network. Before we go, a quick reminder, the nomination portal for the 2026 VinFuture Prize is now open and will remain so until April 17, 2026. Thank you as always for your continued support. Stay tuned as we continue our mission to discover and honor groundbreaking scientific innovations.